Yeah, it is a recording. I just got a busy signal at PEG,
Oh,
so
there
I'm
it
trying
is.
that again.
Oh, that's the Zoom side, and yeah, I'm following that up just for a backup.
There we go. Much better. That's what we needed. Yes. Okay, so we are ready to roll.
Hi, good evening. Welcome to our first virtual town hall. Tonight we're going to be talking about preparing for wildfire season. I'm Jessica Paiska, District 1 Supervisor, and I'm here with Supervisor Moke Simon from District 1, and we are with the Risk Reduction Authority. And we've put together this event with 4 wonderful guests to talk about how we can really prepare our homes and our communities for fire season, and really hope to really work together and collaborate to make our communities safer. Following the presentation, we're going to have a Q&A period. So if you have a question during one of the presentations, just go ahead and put that question in the Q&A chat, and we'll get to it at the end. We'll ask our panelists your question and bring it up then. We also have some really great prizes that we're going to be giving away at the very end. So hang on with us till the end. We're hoping to be wrapped up around 7:30. So I have my co-host here tonight, Supervisor Simon. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, welcome everybody. Welcome to the first Lake County Risk Reduction Authority event. I know Jessica already introduced it, but I am the chair of the Lake County Risk Reduction Authority. And we have been talking about this event for the last couple of years. Obviously, COVID put a hold on it last year, but we're happy to have the first of hopefully many events as we move forward over the next few years with the Risk Reduction Authority. So welcome and good evening, and hopefully we provide some information and some opportunities for you to gather information on your own with the presenters, and also some of the information will be given. So welcome, and I hope you get some information that is useful. And as always, if you don't get your answers, you can always contact myself or Jessica after or any other time. So, all right.
So our first speaker tonight is Chief Paul Duncan with South Lake Fire and CAL FIRE.
Yep, and if I would just do the formal introduction, and this is a mouthful, Chief, here, so I'm going to do this. Paul Duncan, Chief of Operations of the Northern Division of the Lake Napa Unit of CAL FIRE. So welcome, Paul.
Very happy to be here, Chairman Simon and Supervisor Piska. It's great to be on this format and share the message. So I do have a presentation, and I'm going to work on sharing that right now. All right, I should be good there. All right, so this I'm going to speak on the CAL FIRE defensible space, which is really important to all of us in this community and around the state to maintain that defensible space around a structure. So I will present some information that is CAL FIRE based, and then some of my own, which is just some experiences I've had especially during the wildfires we've had, including the Valley, and things that would have made a difference with structures there. In this, the 100 feet for defensible space, and some of this is that research and experience have really shown us that that area around a structure, that if it's taken care of and the fuels are kept down and manicured, that we can increase the survivability of that structure if it does impacted by a wildfire. And that fuel reduction is done through that vegetation management. It's just creating that really good buffer between you and the wildland area, and keeping that good defensible space around the structure. This is just kind of a picture here of what that green belt would look like, and there are trees in that photo, and I'll move on to that. So there's a couple different zones around the structure. Defensible space is that area immediately around the structure and dwelling, and that's where those practices for prevention, of wildland fire is important, and to protect it from that approaching fire, and minimizing that spread of the structure to other, so if the structure is involved in minimizing that impact to other structures or fire or wildlands around that area. The defensible space zone is that from the structure to 30 feet out or to the property line if it's less than 30 feet. And then that 70 feet is that reduced fuel zone, or zone 2 is that next 70 feet from 30 feet out to 100 feet. And that really is a managed area to keep that fuel from impacting the structure. Kind of description of your fuels. The surface fuels, those are leaves, needles, grasses, any forbs, low medium shrubs, tree seedlings, any branches that have fallen, and down logs. Ladder fuels, really more brush. So think of manzanita, chamise, those are our ladder fuels, fuels that connect the surface fuels to the aerial fuels. And then our aerial fuels are those. It's the vegetation which are above the surface, or more trees really is the aerial fuels. And that's what we really want to keep the fire out of. Fuel treatment guidelines. So that defensible space zone, and and I'll explain what the 4A and 4B are for the compliance with the Public Resource Code 4291. And then I also, this is where we're going to vary from the CAL FIRE direction, and that is the UC really put out a zone 0, which addresses the 0 to 5 feet immediate threat area around the structure. And what I've really seen is if you have an area cleared down to bare soil or have a non-combustible zone in that 0 to 5 feet, even if resources aren't able to get to a structure, that home can survive on its own without any fire suppression action around it. Even if there's grass, small shrubs that are connecting to the ground to the structure, it's likely you're going to have damage, or that structure is going to be involved from the wildland fire. So by having that first 5 feet really clear of any kind of woody plants, that mulch, so bark, people like to put that around the structures, really having that cleared out, and that cement is preferred, or gravel if it's got, so put weed barrier underneath it, then put gravel down, and that that area, that 5 feet, and combined with a 6-inch non-combustible zone that is between the ground and the start of the exterior siding, will really reduce the chances of a fire if it's just sneaking through, that it impacts that structure and gets it involved. So we saw a lot of that, because when you get a large incident, we can't put an engine at every structure. If a structure can stand on its own, then it's going to survive. And that immediate zone, that 0 to 5 feet, I think is critical. It's not included in the CAL FIRE literature, but I think for this event, it's very important for homeowners to know ways to keep their structure safe. This is the CAL FIRE zone. It's zone 1, intermediate, extends up to 30 feet from the buildings. And we ask that you remove all dead plants, grass, weeds, basically vegetation that's dead in there, dry leaves, any pine needles, roof debris, and your rain gutters. We want to make sure that any needles are not inside rain gutters or on your roof. And the reason is, if we get an ember cast from a fire, embers are flying in the air, and if they land in those rain gutters, they will catch the rain gutter on fire in the leaves and the needles, and that will spread up to the roof structure. Removing any branches that overhang your roof, and keep those dead branches 10 feet away from the chimney. If there's really any dead branches, you want to keep those trimmed off the tree anyway, because they have a chance to fall down in kind of in a wind storm situation. Relocate your wood piles so they're more than 30 feet away from the structure, because if those get involved, they are more ember production, and that blows into the structure with the wind that comes with a fire. Remove or prune any flammable plants, shrubs near windows. Remove vegetation and items that could catch fire under and around decks. And then create a separation between the trees, shrubs, and items that could catch fire, such as patio furniture and stuff that's out in your yard in that 30-foot zone. I'll move on to zone 2. That is further out. I should have changed that. That's it's 30 feet to 100 feet. and that should be what they're calling lean and clean. So you want to eliminate connectivity between islands of vegetation, and there's a couple good slides on how to really, you don't want to take all the trees out, but you want to have so there's not a continuity of fuels in there. So again, within that 30 to 100 feet, that's the defensible space, that reduced fuel zone. The horizontal spacing, so you'll see the trees are all there. That is no connection between those ladder fuels and your aerial fuels. And the 4A is a horizontal spacing standard. The 4B is a continuous tree standard. So those two things are important to know. Clearance between fuels, again, 4 to 40 feet, and you want to make sure, again, it's the continuity, so connection between the two. Distance depend on slope, vegetation size, vegetation type, and other fuel characteristics. I'm happy to answer any questions from residents if they have them. We do have fire crews and officers that can come out and take a look at any structures you may have questions on. I'd rather answer those questions and get that hazard abated than let that hazard continue to be there. We ask you keep the grass under 4 inches in height. On the grass side, make sure if you're mowing, you do that early. And also, if the later in the season you get, we like to try and use the string trimmers because they don't generate sparks if they impact a rock. So metal bladed lawnmowers, if they impact rocks on a hot day and dry fuel, there's a potential for those to start fires. And we ask that if you are going to do that, please use a string trimmer in the afternoon. And try not to mow in the afternoon period, but string trimmer will eliminate that spark potential. Here's that a little more demonstration on the slope and how it affects the vegetation size and type. But we want to keep that vertical, that clearance between those aerial fuels so we don't have that spread in the crown. And this, again, just a little more on the ladder fuels and how to keep those out of the aerial fuels. Important that separation in there. This is the 4B standard, and that's the continuous tree canopy standard. If you want to have a large stand of trees with a continuous canopy, that's fine. But in this situation, if you have a continuous tree canopy, we want all surface fuels greater than 4 inches in height removed. So if you have a high canopy, fine. But anything over that 4 inches in height, we ask that that be removed. You can retain single specimen trees just as long as they're well spaced. That again, continuous tree canopy zone, that standard. Prune any of those lower limbs up to at least 6 feet. We prefer 15, but I know we're getting kind of up there as far as being able to reach with a pole saw. But 6 feet will help us and reduce that fire hazard. Greater hazards, different fuel trees combust differently. Firs are pretty resilient. Redwoods obviously very resilient. Pine trees are a little more. We ask if those, try to get them up a little higher on the branches because those branches hanging down will be a hazard. And then the lower, if the tree's small, the lower 1/3 of the branches on those smaller trees. And why we ask you for the 100 feet of clearance, a good defensible space really allows the firefighters a safe area and the ability to protect and save structures without facing unacceptable risks. So we don't put firefighters in where it's going to be super hazardous or we're going to get somebody injured and killed. That's why we want you to really have that defensible space so we can come in there and protect the structure. And then what we found after fires, that post-fire analysis, is that all those things combined really make the structure safer. So by clearing your area, like I said, it's not in the CAL FIRE literature, but that 0 to 5 feet, that zone 0 that we're talking about, no fuel, non-combustible area between the structure 5 feet out and then 6 inches up to the siding will just help make you safer during fire season. And then here's just an example of, the fire on the left, and then here's one on the right with defensible space and the fire that came up to that structure, stopped before the structure, and that's really what we're looking for. We're looking for survivability of the structure and the residents. Homeowner assistance programs. There are programs available through our local fire safe councils. Southlake has a chipping program. A lot of the HOAs have a defensible space program, and then some of the local fire departments do have resources if you're looking for ways or sources to find for people to help you do the defensible space clearing. And that is it for me. Thank you very much. I'll stop sharing my screen, see if I can see it. There it is. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief Duncan. That was really a great presentation, a lot of great information. Our next speaker is Michael Herringshaw. He is with Lake County Code Enforcement, and he's going to be speaking on our hazardous vegetation abatement ordinance that was created a few years ago and really sets the standard for property owners in Lake County. So Michael, are you ready for your presentation?
I am, thank you. I'll go ahead and share my screen here. So 2021 hazardous vegetation abatement. This year we're really focusing on enforcing the codes as they apply. Mostly about the 30 feet distance around your house is the big thing. It's a really good defensible space to have, and it's a requirement of the county code. So the county code requires that 30 feet around your house be clear of any dead vegetation or any excessive combustible fuels. As you can see on the left, there's a building that has, you know, its defensible space around it, and on the right, those fuels come straight up to the house, and that's what we're looking for. That would be something that we may take an action on to have those fuels removed. The defensible space requirements are in ordinance number 3082 in chapter 13, section or article 8 of the county code. They have a few more standards. One is that the roadway has to be cleared for 10 feet. This can be changed by the fire marshal or his designee to add additional space up to 100 feet if it's deemed to be a public safety or welfare issue. There is some discretion there for the fire marshal to make, including around the 30 feet of the house. So if the fuels are so great that 30 feet clearance isn't enough, the fire marshal or his designee can decide that 100 feet is required under the county code. Defensible space on unimproved properties. An unimproved property is a property that doesn't have a house on it. These properties require defensible space from 30 feet from neighboring structures and roadway frontages. So it's a little bit different. It's not around the house on the property, it's around neighboring houses. So if there's a house that has 20 feet to the property line, those next 10 feet from that property line have to be cleared by the neighboring property owner in order to be in compliance with the county code. Same thing with the roadway frontage. It has to be cleared at least the 30 feet from the roadway. This year, Lake County's, we've been doing a lot of defensible space stuff. We have an officer solely assigned to handle hazardous vegetation right now. He's been handling a lot of it, especially in the South County right now. So what happens if you don't have your defensible space and you don't meet the county code is you'll get a notice of violation in order to abate. This will give you between 7 and 30 days. Normally it's 15 days to remove the combustible material. If you don't remove the material, you can be fined, or the county can come in and abate the problem as needed. So we really encourage people to do voluntary compliance. That's our main thing. We really like to see compliance with the code, and we really like to work with people to have their properties be safe and clean for the whole neighborhood. Additional time can be given from the 15-day period if we see work and 50% of the progress has been made. The supervisor of code enforcement can make the determination that more time is available. This is if you were to do, let's say, 50% of the work, but you have a very large project you have to do, and 15 days is unreasonable. We always want to work with people to make sure that they're able to do things in a timely manner, but also in a manner that's reasonable for them. You can find all this information on the county website. Again, the article is Article 8 under Chapter 13, and the section is 1358. And that's all I have.
Well, thank you very much, Michael. Greatly appreciate your participation today and the information given out. I know we will probably have follow-up questions in the end, and we'll do what we can to pass those on to the panelists. Now, what I would like to do is introduce our next guest, who is Luis Pagoni. and she is with the Master Gardener Program. And I would just like you to welcome her, and welcome, Louise.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be here. Excuse me, I'm a little squeaky. I too have a presentation, so let me get to screen share here. There we go. My computer. There we are. Okay, so as Master Gardeners, and I am one, I'm the program coordinator for the UC Master Gardener program in Lake County. We are always being asked questions about what kind of things people can do to make their home safer. So we've kind of dubbed it fire safer landscaping. And I'm sure like a lot of people, you're all wondering, what does this all mean? We've got fire safe, fire wise, fire safer, fireproof. What's it all about? Well, as Chief Duncan kind of mentioned before about some things, for us here in Master Gardeners, it means the right plant in the right place. It means lean, clean, and green. And it means you can get in and get out of your property. So the right plant in the right place basically boils down to reading those tags on those cute little 4-inch pots when you go to the nursery and realize that that cute little plant might be 40 feet tall and 20 feet wide. And if you're going to stick it in a place that's 10 feet too short on either way, you've got a problem, because the plant's going to start to stress. You're going to spend a lot of energy taking care of things that you really wouldn't have to if you did a little teeny bit of research before. Because any plant will burn if it gets hot enough. If anything, Tubbs taught us, and every other fire since then, Valley, you name it, things will burn to the ground. I mean, I can't tell you how many pictures, and I'm sure you have too, of all the pictures of properties where only thing left is a fireplace or a chimney. So remember, there's no such thing as a fireproof plant. Plants can be fire resistive though, because a lot of plants in California did evolve with a fire ecology. But the right plant in the right place is key, and irrigation and maintenance, keeping them well, keeping them healthy and well is important as well. That's why it's important you choose fire-resistant plants. They're kind of known for little or no seasonal accumulation of vegetation, so they don't drop a lot of litter. No needles, no fur things, no branches, all the things that the chief was saying you need to clean. You want to plant plants that makes that job a little easier. You want something with a loose, open, branching habit. So you want things that a lot of air can go through, because if plants have a tendency to be too close together in the interior, they all start to die out, and you have a lot of dry leaves that can catch on fire. You also want plants that have non-resinous woody stems and woody trunks. They don't call the juniper the gasoline plant for nothing, because there's enough resin in there that things go up like torches. And also avoid planting all the beautiful pines and firs near your structures, because no matter how well you take care of them, they will catch on fire. Another thing about the fire-resistant plants, they don't have a lot of vegetation. Again, nothing messy. You want high content of moisture in the leaves. Deciduous trees and plants are the best because they're in full leaf during all of our fire season. So if an ember hits a leaf that's already out there green and full of moisture, most likely the ember might burn that leaf, but it won't be doing much else because it will be literally put out by the moisture in the leaves. Get things that are drought tolerant, and this year especially, because we're probably heading into another seriously bad drought year, you want things that can survive with as little water but still maintain their greenness and their health. And you also want to look for plants that are slow growing because they require less work. Let's face it, who wants to be out pruning every other day? I know I don't. The right plant plan. Use hydrozoning. So group your plants together that have similar water needs. So if you have really high water needing plants, plant those closest to your house, because that's a good thing because they're nice and moist. And that's kind of where you want moisture, is near your house so that your house is more protected. Also, pathways, driveways, rocks, rock walls, they are all beautiful in your landscape, and they're really good at kind of slowing fire down because, let's face it, rocks don't burn. And like the chief had said before, if you want some focal points, put them in your landscape. It's not that you have to have it look like the moon. It can be quite beautiful. Also, another big thing is to mulch all of your plants. And I can't say this enough. Mulch reduces water loss and conserves moisture in the soil, which we desperately need anytime we're in a drought. It also reduces weed growth and covers up the weed cloth. And I'm not a big fan of weed cloth. I think it's ugly, but it does the job. And use only colored rock mulch. If you must, use compost because it's not very flammable, or very composted wood chips, but I'd put those far down the list. And above all else, no rubber mulch. It's made of tires. It burns like crazy, and you don't want anything that's going to destroy your home and maybe make it impossible for you to get out safely. Because anything can ignite if it gets hot enough, so you do want to use the least likely things in your yards that will catch on fire. And because of this year being so drought heavy and drought laden, we may have to get out more often than we thought. So one of the other things I'm always worried about is the ins and outs of getting in and out of your property. So like the chief said, remove all the dead plants and the trees and the shrubs from your property. Get them gone. Get rid of the excess leaves and the low hanging branches. I can't tell you how many times I go past people's properties and I know they are, owned by someone that have oak trees with branches literally hanging on the ground. That's not good. That's going to just make it a great place for a fire to get started, and maybe your house will be impacted by that and not in a good way. Replace any flammable plants as you go with fire-resistant plants. I'm not advocating that everybody spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to take every plant out of their property, but as a plant comes to the end of its natural life, replace it with something that is fire-resistant. And also take good care of it, because in one respect, plants are like people. When they're healthy, they're a lot harder to hurt and a lot harder to set on fire. If they are stressed, if they are ill, if they've been mistaken care of, they're going to be a lot more prone to catching on fire much quicker. And as the chief had said, defensible space works, because here's another photograph of a house that survived what looks like a pretty awful fire. I unfortunately do not know where this was, but it's obvious that defensible space did the trick. And so one thing that the chief also mentioned was that the fire ladder fuel will go up. Fire always burns up. So if you've got something really resinous underneath a pine tree, that's just asking for trouble. So try to keep things separate as best as you can, with giving at least 10 feet in between the top of that shrub and the bottom of the tree if you have to have them planted together. And again, slope does make a difference. The steeper the slope, the faster the fire is going to go up it. I heard a story many years ago about a gentleman who heard the fire alarm, saw the fire and the smoke in the distance, or so he thought, and he thought, oh, I'll have lunch before I get out of here. And when the fire department came into his house to kind of mop up, they found the sandwich with one bite taken out of it, because that's when he looked over and saw the fire was literally at his deck. So it moves fast, and so be ready. Space your trees between 10 and 30 feet, depending on the slope. The steeper the slope, the bigger the distance between any vegetation that's of like a tree or a larger shrub. And here's a couple of fire ladder examples. The one on the left is someone who didn't take it to heart, and there's just everything everywhere that's going to go up like a tinderbox. The image on the right is a well-maintained landscape. There's room between things for fires not to catch onto, and it looks like it's also a much safer place for a home to survive. And same slide as Chief Duncan, that defensible space, you cannot get away from it. That 5-foot zone he's talking about is technically what I call the 5-foot no-grow zone, because what you need to do is when you walk outside of your house and you look up, if you can still see your eaves, do not plant anything under or close to the house, because it will go up, it will start burning on your eaves, and the next thing you know, your house will be gone. Maybe not right that minute, but if it ever gets in your attic, it's just a waiting game to see when your house will catch on fire. So keep things spaced apart. It still looks beautiful. It's very park-like and quite lovely. As you can see in this photograph and this image, that lots of room for lots of space. But I imagine this would look quite beautiful if this was really a photograph. So if you're near your house, do like these people did. Put in beautiful plants, but notice how they're all very short and they're very low to the ground. Everything appears to be mulched on top of that, and everything looks very healthy and well. And if you are in a position where maybe you have more room, again, you've got that beautiful open space, you've got some rocks, you've got other things. Even though there's a pine tree and that's a little bit problematic, it's still a lot safer than just letting the whole thing just die or not doing anything at all. And here's a transition zone with a mild slope going up to a home. And again, someone planted a lot of low, beautiful flowers. The tree is very well limbed up. And again, this is all something we can do. Here's another example of fuel reduction. And you do need at least 10 feet. That's what you see is kind of going with. And if you do plant something underneath, let's say your shrub is 4 feet tall, you need to limb up 14 feet from the ground. So there still is that 10-foot clearance. And as you can see on the left, it's untreated. It's going to burn really fast, really hot, and probably everything on the left side of this photograph will be gone. The right side may survive it because everything is very well maintained. There's nothing growing against any of those trees, which could really make the difference. It is up to us as homeowners and residents of Lake County to control the fuel that's within our control. And as you can see in this picture, somebody's got a lot of chipping to get done or trips to the dump. And sometimes it can seem like it's a little too much. Oops, I'm sorry, pardon me. One of the things that we all recommend at Master Gardeners is that have garden parties. Invite all your friends over, have a barbecue, a safe barbecue, I might add, or do whatever, have a potluck and get all your friends to help you clean up your property. And then just start doing it every week and go to somebody else's house and do the same. And before you know it, you'll have this beautiful, beautiful neighborhood that's all safe or safe as you can be under the circumstances. So what does all this hard work do for you besides giving you really great muscles and you kind of like are tired? Well, one thing, it makes it easier for the fire department to come to your home, which is in my book always a good thing, because the engine and the crew are going to look at it and say, can we get in and out safely? What kind of road clearance is there to your property? Is there a fire hydrant nearby? Are there overhanging trees? Are there any other hazards that might impact, a lot of litter on the ground, things that are just impinging onto the roadway? And with lean, clean, and green, it's all about making sure your property is where the firefighters will want to set up base camp, will want to try and save your home and your neighbors' homes. Here an example is a place I wouldn't go down for any amount of money. And if it was on fire, I'd be heading the other way as fast as I could. The road's too narrow, the trees are overhanging, there are a lot of firs and a lot of pine in there. And I'm thinking there's probably no way out because it sure as heck doesn't look like there's any way in. Again, here's another example. The trees are overhanging. Again, the drive is narrow. There's a propane tank that looks like it has a lot of vegetation around it. That's not safe for anyone. So these are the kinds of things that you need to address. And I know there's been a lot of talk about fuel breaks, and even as a homeowner, you can still have fuel breaks because they come in all shapes and sizes. As you can see, they can be very beautiful. They don't have to be utilitarian like this one here, but it's still a good fire break because it's doing the job. Here is an example of another beautiful one where they have rock pathways through, again, low growing, not a lot of litter. There are a few trees and things that kind of give me pause, but still that is a much better yard than some. And again, another example of some various ways that you can put in fire breaks that don't even look like fire breaks. And there are, like I said, there are a lot of options. This is actually a road that looks like a river of rock from this angle. Nothing's going to catch on fire on there. There are no weeds growing in there. The thing is all nice and wide. People can escape. People can be safe. And yes, even a golf course can be considered a fire break. I know here in Hidden Valley where I live, we have generators that if there's a power outage, we can water the golf course even if there is a power outage to keep that green. And I imagine if it really got bad enough, we could probably all drive onto the golf course and they could turn on the water and we could just wait out whatever might happen if it got that bad. But the fact that this is green and a golf course is green all year round is quite a boon to all of us. And the new one that's starting to come across the research is, what about vineyards? And it's turning out that they do more than just produce wine grapes. Smoke taint aside for all the producers, they're doing us a great service. UC Davis is already saying that the grapevines don't burn very easily, and they do act like fire breaks. I personally was down in Sonoma after the fire for tubs, and I noticed that every single one of the vineyards that were large, I'm not talking about 10 or 20 vines, I'm talking about hundreds of acres, that maybe they lost a few vines around all the perimeter of the vineyard, but everything else was green. Every grape was still alive. So when you go home, what do? Well, I always have said that if I used 100-foot defensible space, I'd be in my next door neighbor's house and they'd be in mine. But the thing is that it's just a really good reason to work with your neighbors to make your community safer. Because you can hire people, you can have friends come and do 2 yards. You can do all kinds of stuff. Start at your front door, look up, make sure that if you feel the urge to start planting, you start planting the minute you see clear sky, no eaves. And walk out 30 feet, 100 feet. Check all the ladder fuels. Just kind of look at it with fresh eyes. If you feel like you can't see it, have a friend check for you. Sometimes they can see things that you've just gone kind of like, just you're so used to it, you don't see it. Schedule regular maintenance. Doesn't have to cost a fortune. You can have your grandkids come, your kids, you, friends. I mean, a couple times a year, you keep the place looking good, because we all want to keep our spaces lean, clean, and green. And I'm a firm believer that together we can do this. And I have a lot of references. You see, A&R has many, many references. There's lots of people doing research. These are some of my favorites. There's a book called Firescaping by a gentleman named Douglas Kent. California Wildfire Landscaping, Protecting Life and Property from Wildfire by the National Fire Protection Association. The Master Gardener program in Sonoma County has a fabulous website. They really got on it after Tubbs and have a lot of information, a lot of videos and all kinds of things you can access, because it's all open to the public. And last is our Master Gardeners got together in 2020 and 2021 and produced a calendar that's all about landscaping and firewising your home. And that's available if you want to do that through our offices. If you have any further questions, we're at the Master Gardener office on Lakeport. We're right below the visitor center there. And our phone number is 707-263-6838. And I hope you'll call us and we'll be able to send you more information than you can possibly imagine. And I want to thank everybody for their time, and I appreciate that very much.
Thank you, Louise. I always enjoy your presentations.
Thank you.
So next we have Magdalena Valderrama, and she's going to walk us through what it means to be a Firewise community and how you can get started on a Firewise community. All right, welcome, Magdalena. Oh, you're on mute.
Thank you, Supervisor Simon and Supervisor Paiska, for inviting me to share the Firewise Communities program with everybody who's attending. Very importantly, I'd like to acknowledge the original Firewise, so to speak, communities in Lake County. These are the indigenous nations that stewarded the lands and territories where we now live over many centuries before us. The Pomo, Patwin, Lake Miwok, and Wapo. I'm honored and grateful to be here today on their traditional lands. The Siegler Springs Community Redevelopment Association is a public nonprofit that helps small disaster vulnerable communities develop their capacity for resilience and partner with government and nonprofit agencies on their own terms. My name is Magdalena Valderrama, and I'm a co-founder and the project director for SSCRA. I also sit on the board of directors for the South Lake Fire Safe Council, and I'm an invited core member of the National Fire Adapted Communities Learning Network, the only one so far in California. One of my jobs has been to teach about the different community wildfire programs out there. In particular, oops, sorry, I forgot to share my screen. In particular, I stay in touch with the other speakers in today's town hall through the Risk Reduction Authority, and I keep our Firewise communities informed about the different opportunities to promote the program, keep track of grants and events that can be helpful, and encourage best practices at the local level. SSCRA also administers homeowner grants for lot clearing in the Cobb area, and we work with our other partners to bring in grant and other community assistance to Lake County. So the Firewise Communities program is a recognition program and free. As Louise mentioned, the National Fire Protection Association is one of the most important groups out there in the country, and they are the sponsors of the Firewise Communities Recognition Program. It's only one of many approaches for communities to get ahead of the wave of wildfires that has been striking our county nearly every year. But whether the approach is called a fire-wise community or a wildfire adapted partnership like in Colorado, or a fire safe council as other places in California as well as here, or a burn association or a forest owner association, whether the neighborhood is at risk in Hawaii, Oregon, Colorado, Michigan, Pennsylvania, or Florida, wildfire is a physical process. Living with wildfire makes this natural process into a social and economic problem. So you can't rely on government for everything. It's up to us, our families, friends, and neighbors to work together and steward the land where we live. In this picture, you see our colleagues at the Disaster Assistance Relief Team, DART, based in Clear Lake, helping other county agencies and nonprofits determine how all the different organizations that are trying to help with wildfire readiness and emergency preparedness fit together. The FireWise USA program is a program of the National Fire Protection Association, as I mentioned, and that program was established in the 1990s. It makes use of all of the fire codes that the NFPA established and that the municipalities and counties adopt. Today, there are over 1,500 certified FireWise USA sites or FireWise communities that have been established throughout the United States. And 13 of those sites can now be found in Lake County, California. The most recent one out here in Lower Lake, that's called Noble Ranch, is the newest one, so welcome to them. And the map was too small to fit Lake Pillsbury, which is up here in the Potter Valley area. So the site for a FireWise community can be a street, a neighborhood, a subdivision, a homeowners association, any other geographical area that is determined by the people who live there. The number to start can be as few as 8 single-family homes. They can be completely separate from each other. They don't have to be contiguous. And it's up to 2,500 residents. Anything bigger would have to be divided up. So community-wide firefighting impact is a big benefit from being nationally recognized as a FireWise community, because it means that you and your families, friends, and neighbors are helping one another, learning from and teaching each other and your local experts on how to keep yourselves, your families, and your community safe from wildfire. I really appreciate Chief Duncan describing Zone 0. That is a map from the FireWise USA program that he pointed to. And as individuals, there's so much that we can do, as Louise from the Master Gardeners, and as Chief Duncan and Michael Herringshaw pointed out from Code Enforcement. But once you get into community-wide safety, then you are making homes safe for not only the residents, but also for the firefighters. A big lesson we learned from the Valley Fire, my house burned, was how much time was lost with our firefighters having to re-clear fire breaks near homes or removing pine needles from gutters and roofs. And these are all things that renters and owners can do themselves to keep it safe and make sure our firefighters can fight the fire directly and get home to their families safe too. So doing these kinds of activities, including creating your beautiful fire-safe landscaping, creates the barn-raising kinds of connections that our county has been known for, and that years of research have also shown creates community resilience. Making connections with each other well before a catastrophic disaster occurs is key. If you're already being diligent about clearing defensible space for yourself and your neighbors too, all of the work you're already doing can be used to attract grant assistance to keep accomplishing more. So SSCRA was one of the first groups to bring in grant assistance from CAL FIRE right after the Valley Fire. And we know from speaking with the grant makers that having the FireWise community program was part of what, gave us points to get that grant and bring it in. As far as insurance goes, there are 3 companies that formally partner with the National Fire Protection Agency, National Fire Protection Association. USAA in 10 states, including California, serves veterans and families, and they provide 5% discount to residents in Firewise communities. Mercury Insurance is active in California only and will provide insurance discounts. I did not find out how much they provide, but the California Fire Plan offers 10%. And there have been others at the local level, but nothing official from those companies. So sometimes an independent agent will do it. You have to ask around. And the agent will need third-party corroboration of your participation. In a few minutes, our next speaker, my colleague Cindy Leonard, will tell you about the website where you can send your insurance agent for this information. And you can also contact your Firewise community leader to see if they will share the certificate of recognition, and that information is on that website as well. So how does the recognition program work? So it's free. It starts with your group. You may not be part of a homeowners association or a property owners association, but you could start with your neighbors on the street, the members of your gardening club or your church group or your school PTO, or even a business owner association, as long as you have 8 single-family homes to start with. You form a small committee, and you can invite, the different fire experts also to come and give a talk or think about having some other. We've got a lot of retired first responders here in Lake County and a lot of retired contractors too, and they'll lend their knowledge as well as their expertise. Your committee will identify the size of the site, the boundaries you want, and will be able to make that application. So I forgot to mention that you stay in control of the whole process. You will work with a Firewise USA volunteer to get a written risk assessment plan, and then you will develop an action plan. So in this example, Siegler Springs Firewise community wanted to make sure that we had an evacuation plan for our residents. And we also wanted to make sure that everybody was signed up for late co-alerts, which Sheriff Martin is going to be telling you about after a little bit later in this program today. The plan needs to include one annual event to reach out to other neighbors. That's part of the do it. You can help neighbors. You could have a chipper day where everybody agrees on a date to have their stacks of debris out on the curb for the chipping company to just roll down the street in 1 or more days. So you can be very creative about what you do. And Firewise USA also has plenty of free materials that you can order. Our Siegler Springs Firewise community held 2 walkthroughs last month because after the first one, everybody wanted to know more. And we were able to distribute evacuation kits and other kinds of information. Then tell Firewise USA about what you did. Fill out an application. After you go through the acceptance process, it takes just about 2 weeks. They send you 2 free signs. If you're a very big community, as we are, we've got entryway from Lower Lake and Middletown and then through Cobb and Loch Lomond. We purchased 2 more signs. So Firewise USA has lots of information on their website, and we do too. As I said at the beginning of this presentation, my job has been to help Lake County residents understand the different advantages that communities can tap for wildfire resilience. So for those of you who can't see the screen, my name again is Magdalena Valderrama, like Mary Magdalene in the Bible. And I'm the project director at the Siegler Springs Community Redevelopment Association. Our website is sscra.org, and you can leave a message for me at 707-355-4458. I'm also available to talk about fire-adapted communities. So thank you for listening to how community members can help each other and have your safety activities recognized through one of the many programs available around the county.
Thank you so much, Magdalena. I appreciate all that information and your participation tonight. I know A lot of folks probably will be reaching out and having questions in the end, but we'll address that when we get there. But thank you very much. Now I would like to welcome Cindy Leonard, and Cindy Leonard is going to go over the firesaflake.org website. And so welcome, Cindy.
Thank you. I'm very pleased to be here to present about our new website. Thank you, Supervisor Paiska and Supervisor Simon. So you have been hearing a lot of information about different programs, different recommendations. There's a lot of information to learn about. And so what we found through different community meetings and just sharing newsletters and trying to share information is that we really needed a website where we could bring all of this information together and make it very easy for homeowners, renters, community members to access this information and to dig a little deeper and to also highlight the programs that are just specific to Lake County. So I'm going to share my screen. I hope you can all see this Fire Safe Lake. This is our new website that has been created for the Lake County Fire Safe Council. I'm just going to kind of walk you through different highlights on this website. So on the home page, you can see at the top, I'm actually not at the very home page right here. So this is the home page. Along the top, you can see headings that kind of group information together. If I scroll down, you'll see a center area where we'll feature different current programs happening. Right now we have the Ready, Set, Film competition. That's actually a competition of for students in Lake County to create fire preparedness videos. That's wrapping up this week. So this section will be updated with our next program. And then as we scroll down, there's some just quick links that you can click on just to grab some information. But I'm going to spend my short amount of time with you by kind of walking you through the tabs, because I think that's a very well organized way to utilize this website. The first tab that is about, it says about, so it talks about the Lake County Fire Safe Council and what it is. But then it also gives some background and just some sort of structural information. So the partners tab, I'm going to point out in particular because it was thanks to North Coast Opportunities and their EPIC preparedness campaign that actually was the funder for this website. So we are grateful for the program that they oversaw here for the county. I work with the Cobb Area Council, and then there's some other partners that you can see as you scroll along there. I don't want to go too fast, but I know we're on limited time. So another point that there is a map that shows the fire history, but I want to kind of point out this hazardous vegetation abatement tag. As Michael Herringshaw pointed out, he highlighted some things with the ordinance. And if I click on that tab, you can get a summary of the vegetation abatement ordinance. And then as you scroll down, you can read the entire ordinance. And then you can also click on the tab if there's a property in your neighborhood that you are really concerned about, that you can report it to the County of Lake. So if you click on this, it will take you directly to the County of Lake site where you can report something. So then we've got the Community Wildfire Protection Plan. If you click on that, it goes into the county-wide plan for wildfire And then there's all of the fire departments in our county if you click on that tab. But I'm going to move along to the preparedness tab. There's a tremendous amount of information. You heard information from Chief Duncan and from Louise. And so trying to make it very easy to find what you're looking for was the goal when we put this together. So under evacuation preparedness, this tab then has sublinks to all different types of information that you would be looking for if you are preparing to evacuate. So information about what are the hazardous weather situations, different alerts and warning, you name it. We've got it here on this tab, even information about insurance and making sure that you are properly insured in case you do lose your home. So lots of things to look at there. As you go down to the next home hardening tab, it has information that's about wildfire embers and home ignition. And then hardening your home, you can specifically look at different aspects of your home and how to protect them. Now the third tab talks about defensible space and the zones that Chief Duncan talked about, and then also a tab, I'm gonna click on the fire resistant landscaping just to show you that in a little more depth. So this talks about, as Louise was discussing, different types of plants to use. As she said, there's no fireproof plants, but there are things that you can look for that are more resistant. And then on the side here, we have a couple of links. The home landscaping for fire is actually the UC extension link, and that goes into great depths. So the next tab is specific programs that are here in Lake County. Most of us are probably familiar with the Reflect to Protect program. That is the green reflective signs that are very easy for, they're very reflective and makes it easy for firefighters to find your home, especially if there's a smoky fire. You know, so if you click on this link, it will show you how to order one of those, and it has both the form for the north part of the county and the south part of the county, depending on where you live. Currently, under the chipper programs, there's only the chipper program in the South Lake County that's run by the South Lake Fire Safe Council. The boundaries of that program are the South Lake Fire Protection District, and then Hidden Valley Lake also has a chipping program, and we're hoping to extend the chipping program with other grants as we continue to apply for grants. We know that chipping in the affordable chipping in our county is greatly needed. The third tab is for obtaining burn permits. It talks about the proper way to burn and also how you sign up for a burn permit. The next two links, tabs, this one talks about the CERT program, which is the Community Emergency Response Teams. This is a program that it has been expanding in Lake County, and it's basically a way that community members are educated so that they can assist with hazards that happen in your community. Most of the time, if there's an emergency, it's the people in the neighborhood who are first on the scene. And this is a program that you can help learn how to just help each other until the professional responders arrive. So it's just basic safety, including how to use a fire extinguisher. The FireWise USA program is the next tab in our header. This is what Magdalena was just telling us about. So this will give you more information about the recognition process. I know it's a lot of information that we're giving you tonight. So if you want to follow up, and then as Magdalena mentioned, we do have the FireWise community map, which lists all of the current FireWise communities in our county. And if you click on the colored areas, it will show you each of these. And like Magdalena said, this is a very handy map if you need to explain where your FireWise community is, because the detail does go down to the actual street level. Whoops. Sorry about that. So moving along, the next tab is about the contest that I told you was wrapping up. Then we have another tab that has the links that are commonly used or commonly requested. So both the website and the Facebook page of many of the common resources that people will be looking for. And then finally is just a contact tab. So that is the basic layout. Like I said, the website is meant to be a one-stop shop for all of the information that we have been conveying at various community meetings. You know, we're continuing to ramp up all of our discussions and our resources for wildfire preparedness. The very last thing I would like to do is to just make sure that you're aware that we have a couple of features that make this website more accessible to all of our community. In the upper left-hand corner, there's a tab where you can change the language easily. So you just click on the different translation button, and in the upper right-hand corner is an accessibility button. So if you have difficulties with your site, maybe you need the text to be bigger or the contrast changed, or if you have different learning challenges, then this is the way that you can make adjustments so that it's more accessible to all. And then lastly, I just wanted to give a little shout out to Kim Lewis from KL Design Solutions. She did an amazing job making this website so easy for people to understand. And I am happy to answer any questions as we move through our the rest of our program. And then Lori Hutchison, I see that she's also here. She is the head of our Lake County Fire Safe Council, and she's also able to answer some questions. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Cindy. And I just want everybody to know Cindy put a lot of time into bringing us this website. It's a tremendous resource for all of us. So thank you so much for all of that work, Cindy. We were really, really appreciative. Our next speaker is Sheriff Brian Martin, and he is going to talk about Lake Co alerts.
Good evening. Thank you. I want to join everybody else in thanking Supervisors Pieska and Simon and the Risk Reduction Authority for putting this on. What a great source of information. Fire preparedness, disaster response, all those things are definitely community efforts that no single person, no single entity can tackle. So thank you for everybody for putting this on, and thank you to the public for participating in this. My presentation tonight has to do with Lake Co alerts. And as we all know, during a disaster, before, during, and after disasters, there are multitudes of information sources that are out there. Some of them are reliable and some of them maybe not so much. But during a disaster in particular, it's important to know that you're getting reliable, accurate information. And that's what Nixle and Lakeco Alerts, the various social media platforms that we and other county and city agencies use, that's what we do to make sure we get out good, accurate information. And tonight, our focus is really going to be on Lakeco Alerts, but we're also going to touch a little bit on Nixle and IPAWS. Like I said, some of the other sources that are out there, particularly social media, you might get faster information. You might hear about something sooner. But quite frequently, what happens is that information might not be accurate. So keep in mind, particularly during emergencies, our primary mission at the Sheriff's Office is to save lives. And sometimes it takes away our ability to get information out. We know what's going on and we're responding, but sometimes we're focused on the task at hand. And that might cause a little bit of delay in getting the information out, but we want to make sure that we get accurate information out as well. Lakeco Alerts is one of many redundant systems that we have available in the county. We have everything from with the implementation of several siren systems throughout the county as of late, all the way down to the door knocks, the PA systems, the high-low sirens that all of our patrol vehicles are equipped with, the IPAWS, the wireless emergency alert, the emergency alert system, the weather radios. There's just a multitude of systems that are out there to provide information during the event of a disaster. There is not a single system that we're aware of that's able to reach everybody in every situation. And even all of these systems combined may sometimes fail to reach every single person that could potentially be impacted. So what we really want to do is encourage people to participate and opt into these systems and take advantage of them before a fire happens, get used to how they work, get your systems set up, and be ready to go once what seems to be the inevitable disaster strikes. And with that, I'll go ahead and share my screen. We'll talk about a couple of points that we have. And is that up there properly? Am I sharing the right screen?
Yeah, it's showing both your slides again.
Both my slides. All right. How about that?
Perfect.
All right. I'll thank Jake Reinke for getting me tuned in on how to do these presentations. So with Lakeco Alerts, it's one of our newer sheriff's mass notification systems. And as I said, this is an opt-in system. You have to sign up to receive Lakeco Alerts. It's not one of the systems that will be automatically sent to you. And what this system does is it allows us to provide messaging through a variety of systems. Lakeco Alerts allows us the ability to do what's called geofencing. And what that is we can target specific areas and target messaging and information to people that have registered within certain geographical areas. I know that one of the complaints that we get from people is they receive messages that don't have to do anything with them. They don't want to be bothered, particularly in the middle of the night. You don't want to be awakened from a deep sleep and panicked only to find out that the emergency is nowhere near you. So this is one system that allows us to target those areas. But we can only target people that are registered to use this system. One of the benefits of Lakeco Alerts is that even if you don't have a cell phone and you can register to receive messages by email and also to your landline. If you don't register or if you have a voice over internet protocol system, you might have to look at another option. It may not get to you, but typically, if you have a VoIP, then you probably have a cell phone or some other way of getting information and notifications. We can help people sign up for this system. A lot of times we'll have a question from people like, I don't know how to sign up for this. I don't have the ability to sign up. And we can certainly help you sign up, but we really prefer that you don't do that, because if we sign you up, then you may not have access to your account and you can't customize it to best suit your needs. We will send out texts and emails during the emergencies, and we will also send out notifications as emergencies progress. You can find out information about information such as where the evacuation warnings have been issued, where evacuation orders have been issued, and where to go for assistance. In our next slide. In addition to Lakeco Alerts, we also implement what's known as IPAWS, and this is the Integrated Public Alert Warning System. This is a national system that's been set up by FEMA. We got this system in place after the Valley Fire, realizing that our notification systems were were inadequate, and there was a whole lot better information and better systems out there, and we want to take advantage of that. These are systems that you don't necessarily need to be signed up for. With the iPause system, we can send out a messages that can also be geo-targeted to identify certain particular geographic locations, and simply by virtue of you being in that area with a compatible mobile device, and most devices are compatible nowadays, it will force a message to you. If you've ever had one of these, you know that it's accompanied by a very obnoxious ringtone sound, and a significant vibrating function on your device. Again, you don't need to be signed up for these. Simply entering an area where there's a wireless emergency alert activated allows it to happen. It's not subscription based. You don't have to sign up. You just automatically receive them. The emergency alert system is also a part of the iPause system. This is used to alert, to use broadcast mediums such as radio stations and television stations to broadcast emergency information. One of the drawbacks for this system is that we can't, the only messages that are legally mandated to be put out on the emergency alert system are presidential messages. If it's a local message that comes through, we rely on our partners in the media industries to receive these messages and put them out. In many cases, they may not, but hopefully they will. And we also have, as I mentioned earlier, our unique local alert systems, and that's the siren systems, and we also have the ability to activate the siren systems via iPause. To sign up for this, it's a very simple thing. You just visit the sheriff's website at www.lakesheriff.com. Right on our home page, there is a radio button that says sign up for Lakeco Alerts. It'll take you into the process. It's very simple to set up an account. If you don't have the ability to do that, give us a call. We can do it for you. But again, we recommend that if you can set up your own account, you do so you can maintain some control about how you receive those notifications. If your phone number changes, or if your address changes, or if you want to add multiple locations, if you don't live in Lake County, but you know somebody that lives in Lake County, and you want to be made aware of any situations that may be affecting them, you can sign up for alerts that are specific to that person's address right here in Lake County. And again, here's the information in Spanish. We have several Spanish-speaking deputy sheriffs and employees here that are always happy to help out. And the information to sign up, again, is here in Spanish. With that, that concludes my presentation. Again, I want to thank the supervisors, the Risk Reduction Authority, for putting this on. The presenters during this. Is a lot of valuable information that's out here. I want to acknowledge the work of the community groups that have gone into putting these presentations, not only these presentations, but the websites and the information available, organizing those Firewise communities, those CERT teams. Again, it's a community effort, and thank you all for doing this. Now I'll conclude my presentation.
Excellent. Well, thank you much. Thank you very much, Sheriff Martin. Now what we're going to do for our guests and everyone that's still on the line here with us is we're going to move into a little bit of Q&A. And I know we already have, I think, 3 questions, I think, up in the Q&A. I'm going to try and read through those, but we're also going to have a raffle. And when we move into the raffle situation, I think we have 7 gifts that we would like to give away. And the way we're going to do that is I think we're going to go ahead and ask the question, and then we'll try and raise your hand. And is it the first one, Jessica, that comes up, or are you just going to work through the first one that gets your hand up? And if you don't get an answer right, we'll go to the next one, and we'll work through there. But I would like to go ahead and see if we could address some of the questions that have come up. I'll try. If I miss something, Jessica, please help me on this. So one of the questions that was asked was, will this presentation be available later? So I could share it with my homeowners association. I guess that question would be for Sam. Sam, is this being recorded where we could replay it? Is Sam still here?
So it is being recorded, and it's live on Facebook. So you can go to the county Facebook page at any time and rewatch it. And I'm hoping that we're going to be able to put this recording on the firesafelake.org website as well.
And yes, we can do that, and it's also available on YouTube as well.
Thank you, Sam. We'll go to another question that came up here. who enforces these requirements? So I think that, is Michael still on? I think that would be code enforcement, but Mike, go ahead. And I think that reference would be to the vegetation abatement. It's in any ordinances in the county.
Yes, code enforcement is responsible for the enforcement of any hazardous vegetation abatement.
Excellent. So I'll just follow up then. There was another question. How much are the fines for non-compliance with the ordinance for required abatements or defensible space requirements? And what happens when the fines are not working for compliance?
So the fines are $100 per day that the violation persists after the 15-day period. So these fines can get quite hefty if they don't come out and clean it up themselves after they've begun being fined. The county takes responsibility for it, and we go out and we clean up the hazardous vegetation with contractors, and that becomes a lien on the property for the cost of the abatement.
Okay, Mike, thank you very much. There was another question. Is there anyone in our area to help with removal of dead leaves and branches? And I think, obviously, if you're elderly or challenged, I think reaching out to some neighbors, friends, it was talked about from Luis and other folks, maybe having some volunteers or something. At this point, I think there's a specific agency or opportunity for that. But as always, if there's a challenge or if you are challenged, please reach out to myself or Jessica, and we'll see if we can get some community help or organized in some manner or that way.
Yeah, and for bigger jobs, there's also the contract companies that code enforcement is working with. And Michael, are you able to share the names of those contractors?
The contractors that we work with for hazardous vegetation abatement?
Yes.
We work with Leonard's Hauling Service, a contractor named Ken Cook, Larry Rugoff with Firewise, and Majestic Landscaping.
Great, thank you.
Okay, we had another question. I missed the master gardener location info, so could I get that again, please? Louise, if you could please give that information out, I'd greatly appreciate it.
Sure. The Master Gardener office is located at the Extension office in Lakeport. We're off of Lakeport Boulevard, just below the Visitor Center, right there on that first, on that one exit. And you can also email us, and you can also call us. And we're all on Google and all the other places if you want to do a search for it.
And the contact for the Master Gardeners is also on the Fire Safe Lake or website.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hopefully that answers the questions. I know we're kind of going through these here, but I appreciate the questions. I think there's a question here. What can be done if a neighbor has a property that appears to not be in compliance? I know it was talked about earlier at the website, firesaflake.org, that there is a tab there where you could go to the county website and make a complaint or make a report on that website. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Jessica, but I think that's probably one of the quickest ways.
Sure, yes. And there was a link on firesaflake.org that will go directly to the complaint page on the website. Correct.
Okay, there's some very lengthy questions. I will try and go through this. Someone put in 4 questions. We have many small subdivision parcels that have high fuel loads. However, because those parcels are not within 30 feet of a structure, code enforcement action seems to be limited. What is the process of having a fire marshal step in? These parcels are fuel jackpots. Vacant parcel, 10 feet road frontage clearance. Does this include brush or hedges? It's kind of a shotgun question here. how flammable is yerba buena? And why can't we hear the siren in our Anderson Springs community? That's kind of a four-part question. I'm not sure where we want to start with. I guess.
It sounds to me like, yeah, it sounds to me like maybe Michael Herringshaw could make a visit out to Anderson Springs and address some of these specific issues with you through code enforcement. And then Luis, do you want to comment on how flammable yerba buena is? I think it might be yerba santa.
Yeah, it kind of is a little bit. Yerba buena that I know of is related to the mint family, so it's pretty small and doesn't get very big, but I know there are a couple of plants that get called that are quite large. They are very flammable. They get kind of out of control, and I would say if you can get them gone, get them gone. I know they are around Lake County. They might be called yerba santa. I'm not sure about that, but I think I know that the person who's asking the question is not referring to the one that I'm thinking of, which is the tiny one, and is not really a problem because it's very small and it's a mint family kind of a thing. So it has a lot of aromatics to it, but it really wouldn't pose anything as far as a danger.
Okay, thank you very much.
And so I'm seeing a couple questions on how to get support for elderly people, disabled people, low income, who may need help with their yard work. And that is something that that we've really been trying to address. There is a Neighbors Helping Neighbors program through South Lake Fire, and you know, you could reach out to your supervisor, like Supervisor Simon or myself, to try and get some of this assistance. But this is one of the directions that we really need to go in. We don't really have an organized program for that support yet, but we need it. And if you need that kind of support, please reach out to us, because this is something that we're trying to work on now, and we do understand that it is a need for our community.
Jessica, I do see Magdalena has her hand up now. Can we, I don't know if can unmute her?
Sure.
There you go, Maggie.
Sure. Just to help respond to that, yeah, we are very aware of that. The Governor Newsom has a wildfire resilience program out. We're expecting to get information about that, but you know, later on in the year. And both Will Evans from the Clear Lake Environmental Research Center and I are working on trying to bring some of that money in and figure out how we can use it to help folks. We're trying to get ideas about how to streamline the administration part of that, because you know, you have to identify and have proof of income and so forth. So yeah, we are definitely working on it.
Great, thank you, Magdalena.
Yep, and so as we spoke about when we opened up, you know, this is hopefully the first of many events that we'll be hosting. Hopefully the next ones can be in person, but we'll always look at this hybrid opportunity to have more community involvement. And these are all things, great questions, and we know we need answers to them. And this collaboration and working together from county to community is very important. And this is just the beginning. So we do appreciate everybody's attendance tonight. And I know that we've got some gifts and some raffle. We want to try and wrap it up by 7:30. Myself and Jessica are always available to be reached out to with these questions. As you guys know, my cell phone number is 707-533-9615. You can call me or email me at the Lake County, my county email, moke.simon@lakecountyca.gov, and available to try and help with these community events or questions as we move forward. So I think what we're going to try and do now is go into the raffle. And as we explained earlier, I'm going to ask the questions. Jessica will look to kind of see who comes up first. And we have 7 gifts that we'd like to give out, from a fire extinguisher to, I think, a real special gift that the sheriff is going to do for one of his questions. So we're going to go ahead and start with our first one. Looks like the fire extinguishers number one. So, and this is a pertinent question here. What is the minimum number of feet you should have cleared around your home as defensible space? You raise your hand.
While he's looking for the first, yeah, put your hand up. First person to have their hand up wins the fire extinguisher. This is donated to us from South Lake Fire and Chief Paul Duncan. So we're looking for that first hand. You want to ask it again?
Yeah.
We don't have any hands up yet. Oh wait, you do. I see it.
Yeah,
now.
we got a bunch of hands up, and it's on the top of the list on my list, Jessica, and you tell me if it's the same on yours. I have up, or are you going to call out who you have on your list? So I say that's
what. Okay, the first person on my list is Brad Chatton. And so Brad, with all of these gifts, we're going to have them at the admin office at the courthouse. So you can pick them up starting Monday. Just pop in there and we'll have your name on this and come get it.
He hasn't answered the question.
Oh, wait.
Yet, right?
Oh, he hasn't answered the question. You're right. I know Brad knows the answer, so let's get it, Brad.
Are we going to unmute him?
Unmute him.
All right, I sent a mute request out to Brad.
Oh, okay. 60 inches, 5 feet. Thank you.
Well, that was a very good try, but that wasn't the answer we were looking for.
There you go.
So I'll read the question again because we're going to go to number 2 here. What is the minimum number of feet you should have cleared around your home as defensible space?
All right, our next person then we have, oh my gosh, they're all moving around.
Yep.
Okay, Tony the goat. I think I know who this is. All right, Tony, what's the answer?
100 feet.
That's good. We were looking for 30 feet, but we'll go for it with 100 because 30 and 100 is the correct zone.
Okay. All right, so we got one.
All right.
So we're going to go to the next one here. Go ahead and put your hands down. The next question is, how many homes are needed to start a fire-wise community?
All right, so I saw Carol's hand up first.
Yep.
And
yes.
I have these, this is a kid's disaster preparedness bag. It's got a soccer ball, a smoke scarf, a whistle, and all kinds of activities. And these bags were brought to us from NCO, North Coast Opportunity, so big shout out for them. So Carol, can you answer the question?
8.
That's correct. Awesome.
Correct.
And Carol, would it be possible for me to get your last name?
Yeah, Jadiker, and I'd like to donate the bag.
All right. You know what I'll do? I'll take it to the school. Thank you, Carol.
Good job, Carol.
All right. We have another.
Move on to our number. Oh.
Yeah, another one.
Go ahead, Jessica.
Nope. We have more of these bags.
We are going to go ahead and go to our number 3 question. Which plants are the best for the green zone around your home?
All right. Sue Kahn had her hand up first. Sue, you want to take a crack at answering the question?
Low plants.
Yeah, that's great.
Yep. Low growing annuals.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good job, Sue.
Thank you.
Okay.
This is the Epic Pet Bag and brought to us by NCO again. It's got all kinds of stuff for your pets for a go bag.
All right, we're going to go with the 4th question here. What is the best website to access Lake County information on fire preparedness?
Karen Pavoni's hand was up first.
Okay, so firesafelake.org.
Yeah, winner.
Great job, Karen. All right.
Good job, Karen.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on to our fifth question here. If you are going to have trees near your home, which types of trees are better?
Okay, where'd it go? Polly Ann Johnston, I think, was the first one. And this has got first aid, all kinds of stuff, everything you need for a go bag. Polly Ann, you want to take a crack at it?
If you're on a cell phone, it's star 6 to unmute. If you're on a cell phone.
Unmute. Oh, I had to unmute. Okay. Green trees and not pine.
That's good. Yep, that's good. Deciduous was the best answer, but I think that is really good. Thanks, Pollyann.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to go to our number 6 question. This is going to be a question that Sheriff Martin is going to explain what the gift will be, and then I will ask the question. So, Sheriff Martin.
Thank you, Supervisor Simon. I'm going to take off my background. I'll tell you what the gift is here. It is a challenge coin. For those of you that have had any experience in the military, you know the rich history that challenge coins have, and hopefully this will focus in. On one side, it features our badge. I don't know if I'm getting the focus or not. And on the other side, it features our patch, the United States flag, and the California flag. If you looked really closely, you might have seen the answer to the question that's coming up. This is a very collectible item. This and $3 will get you a cup of coffee at most local cafes. And with that, I'll go ahead and turn it back over for the question.
Thank you, Sheriff Martin. All right, the question is, where do you sign up for Lake Co alerts?
I saw Tammy Alexey's hand up first. So Tammy, you want to take a crack at it?
I only did it because I heard the prize. LakeSheriff.com.
Correct. Good job, Tammy.
All right, Tammy. Okay.
All right, we're going to go.
I got one more orange backpack left.
Okay, we're going to go to the question here. What types of plants should you have in the 0 to 5 foot zone around your home?
Inara Witt is the first hand.
There should be none or nothing that's attached to the house.
Correct.
Good job.
Great answer.
Thank you.
Okay, I have one more gift. And look at this. We got some nice loppers that were donated by SSCRA from Magdalena. We have one more question.
They're extendable.
Oh, yes, they are. They're extendable.
Yeah, so we do have one more question. The last question is, how can you get a discount on homeowners insurance?
Sally Peterson.
Become a Firewise community.
That's
Correct.
right. Great job, Sally.
Supervisor Pisca, it's Paul Duncan.
Yes.
Chief Wink advised that Brad Chatton's answer was sufficient also. So we'll be providing a second fire extinguisher to Brad. So Brad can follow up with Chief Wink. We'll get him another.
Right on.
All right.
All right, Brad, I don't know if you're still on the line, but excellent.
Great, great. So let's see, I have an announcement that was sent to me earlier today. The Forest Fire Lookout Association is holding a volunteer membership drive, and they're looking for new volunteers to be forest fire lookouts on Wright Peak on Mount Konocti. There's a meeting that's going to be held on May 16th, 2 p.m. at the State Street Park in Kelseyville. All are invited, and any questions, you can please call 707-239-6824, or you could go to ffla-ccwr.org. So that's our presentation for tonight. We are so grateful that you took the time to join us. This really is a collaborative effort to keep our communities safe. We know that we live in wildfire country, and we, as much as we love to live here, we accept that responsibility to keep ourselves safe and our community safe. And so we really appreciate you being here tonight. We appreciate all of our panelists speaking about everything that they've been working on. There's so much work that's been happening in our county for several years now, since we had our biggest fire, our first big fire, the Valley Fire. So a lot has changed on our landscape, and we're just going to keep working together. We're going to get better and better at this every year. So remember, visit firesafelake.org for more information. You can always reach out to myself, Jessica Paiska. My phone number is 707-245-2187, and you can email me at jessica.paiska@lakecountyca.gov.
One last thing, I saw another question too, Jessica. For everybody who won a prize, how do they pick it up? Do they come in just next week and we'll have their name on it, or?
Yes, I'm gonna take them in next week, and actually I'll probably take them in on Tuesday morning when I go for the board meeting. I'll have your name on the prize. It'll be in the admin office. As you come in the main lobby of the courthouse, it's the first door on your left.
Okay, absolutely. And if anyone is challenged, any one of the winners are challenged, you can reach out to us and we'll make sure that we get your gift to you. If you're challenged, you can't travel or anything, please let us know. But we will try, we'll make sure. So congratulations. Thank you to all our panelists, and please be prepared. This season could be, a big one for us. So each and every partner, community stakeholder, it's very important that we are prepared, starting that now. So thank you everybody for your participation tonight. And I think we're going to close it out. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Have a good night.